Hey everybody, and welcome to our year in review here at the Cantina Club. We're going to look back at 2023, all the releases that came out as far as television shows, things like that for Star Wars. Kind of reflect on what we thought about it at the time versus how we think now, and we're also going to wrap that up with a preview of 2024 and the shows that are coming out for the new year. So let's actually, before we get into that, we're going to do a Veriku segment, which we haven't done in a while since we just had the holidays. I'm not going to show everything I got, but I did get one piece in particular that I'd like to show off. So I'll go ahead and just jump in and go first if you're okay with that.
Go
All
ahead.
right. So you all know what this is,
Oh,
and you've all
yeah.
seen it because I sent you guys a video of it, but
Yeah.
for the viewers, I got
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
yeah. That's a
Nice.
episode one Mace Windu saber.
Oh, that's
Saber
Oh,
hilt. Yep.
okay.
cool.
I knew
Yep.
it was a Jedi because of this Jedi symbol in the front
Right.
and it being blue, but
So
I
yeah.
didn't know.
Oh,
It's
that is nice.
it's the one, yeah, it's the one Samuel L. Jackson used, the style he used in episode one.
Nice,
So
cool.
yeah, pretty cool. I was very happy to
It
get that.
looks like it's got good heft to it, like it has
It
real
does,
weight.
yeah. It's
Like
actually,
it,
yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
So the blade goes in the wide end or
This end,
there?
yeah. Yeah, the
Okay,
wide end.
hold it up one more time. So that's that's the
That's
back.
that's the base, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking it was the other way around because it reminded me of Darth Maul's saber the other way
Right, that's what
around.
I was thinking too. Yeah, but that's actually the blade end.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Cool.
So yeah, well, that was a pretty cool piece.
Yeah, very nice.
Very,
Veriku.
very cool.
Very cool.
All right,
I
what
don't
you got,
see where
Gundark?
I don't see where it says badass MF or anywhere on it though. So I'm
It's
doubting
actually it's actually
doubting
on
its
in silver,
legitimacy.
so you can't see it. You just have to know where it is.
And if I just want to warn you guys, if I have to pause for a minute or turn my camera off, it's because the Rancor here
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
has horrible gas. Like I don't know what's going on, but I'm being fumigated out of here,
your
out
Rancor's
of my
resting.
palace. Yeah, he's down there chewing on bones, and he's just yeah.
Yeah,
It's not Ewoks,
fumigating.
it's
It's like
Rancors.
it's a noxious cloud. You can't see it, thank God. You could, it'd be horrifying,
An
but
invisible noxious cloud.
yeah, it goes through levels of intensity too. Like it goes away and then it comes back. It's like I just took him out before we started to do this with it. But Rancors do their business in their own time. So all right. Anyway,
Exactly.
moving along.
All right, Gundark, what's your
Yeah,
Veriku?
I got a few Veracruz in honor of Merch for Life
Oh
Day,
yeah.
since it's right after Life Day. This is what came in a shipment from Corellian Traitor. Smuggled this
Nice.
through.
Yeah.
Celebrate the
Celebrating
glove.
together. Celebrate the glove.
Celebrate the glove. And we were talking about Rancors and Ewoks. You already met my Wampa back there. Whenever we made our exchange on the smuggling run.
Yeah, he made an
And then
appearance on an episode already.
this is another thing delivered from really cool friend. This is a Loungefly mini backpack that I'm going to use to carry my lunch that has old style action figures and a whole set of them on the back,
Nice. Yeah.
along with the little voucher that
Or
you
yeah, the
send in
voucher that
back
they gave
whenever
out.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
when they didn't
reproduction
have
actually
any
have
voucher.
extra
figures,
figures.
right?
Yeah.
That's
And you
Awesome.
had to send a voucher and hoping that your
You-
extra figures would
you got
arrive.
it. You got an empty stand for them all. I remember you remember that.
But this is my final one. I had to I started in boxes by myself, but I had to show you how it came boxed on the air.
Okay.
My husband gave me several Black Series figures, Star Wars figures,
Nice.
and the one I liked the most was the Mon Mothma from Andor.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Does it look really? And so when I take her out of the box, she's
What? She's
she's
mummified.
like a mummy.
It's a mummy.
And I haven't even unwrapped them yet. So here's the mummy. And it's wrapped in Star Wars paper.
Oh,
You can't see it
interesting.
on
No,
there,
you
but
can't
it's
see it on
This
the
actually
must be
screen.
how they're doing the
Star Wars
new
paper. And you
ones.
unroll your mummy, and there is your So I got all the Black Series figures back.
That's
That's so
that's
funny.
that's
It was
Mothra.
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
it was kind of creepy pulling it out because it was like, what? Encountered an action figure that was mummified before. So
She has wizard sleeves, I see.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So it's
Wizard
the
sleeve.
it's very Mothma, Wizard Mothma.
She has
Yeah, so
many proposals for the Senate hidden up those sleeves. Many
That's
many
right.
bills,
she's not gonna go
legislations.
back in her coffin. She'll go on display
Nice.
somewhere
Yeah,
in this
that's
office.
awesome. That
So
is definitely very cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, I love the Black Series figures. Those are always great.
Yeah, very detailed.
they've increased the price on them and created better paint apps for them and closer molds, to some of the actors and stuff like that on the faces and things. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of debate whether it justifies the price increase or not, but they also changed the packaging, and I haven't seen one since they changed the packaging like that. So it's kind of interesting that I wonder if they do that with all of them, wrap them up inside.
Yeah,
You
that's what.
know,
Well, he
Hmm.
gave me a few more I haven't opened, haven't unboxed yet, so
mhm.
I'll have to check them out and see. But this is the one that I wanted to look at most. So I
My
started to
favorite. I'm sorry.
I started to unbox it before we started our meeting, and then I saw that there was a mummy, and I thought, okay, well, I gotta show this to you.
That's awesome. I
Star Wars
love it.
mummy.
my
Um,
my favorite
yeah,
new
go ahead.
figure was a character from Andor that was it's a woman with a suitcase. It's like you too can now stand at the airport with Andor's.
With Suitcase Girl.
Relive the exciting moments of customs. Yeah.
And waiting for your bag.
Yeah. This isn't my bag. Your bag was it was left in Alderaan. Bad news. You
But
may
oh
not be
well.
seeing that again.
One last Veriku, which unfortunately I don't have it here to show because I took it to work to display at work. But it was also given to me by Gundark, which is a Funko Pop wedge and a snowspeeder. I never even knew they had made a wedge figure, which
Yeah.
not that I should be surprised. They make every character known to man as a Funko Pop, but yeah, that was so great. Now I actually have a wedge and a snowspeeder, so that was really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't find. I thought, well, surely they'll have a wedge, and I ran across him, and he was in a snow speeder. I'm like, why is he in a snow speeder, not an
Instead of an
X-wing?
X-wing,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
His
but I
signature
think it was
vehicle,
a
yeah.
40th anniversary of Empire, I think, or something like that.
It must have been,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
So-
God. This Rancor is just punishing me.
oh no!
This is adorable.
That's
I'm
awesome.
expecting the paint to start peeling off the walls. This is the same as if I can concentrate enough to speak.
What have you
I
been
was gonna
feeding
say,
your Rancor?
I got the wedge in the snow speeder. Like I think for a while it might have been a Walgreens exclusive or something.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I got it. I got it at Walgreens on sale for like $15 or something. I don't remember. And then
Mm.
I went. It was right before we saw Dennis Lawson the first time, maybe in Knoxville,
Hmm.
Fanboy Knoxville, and they had the Funko Pop there of him in the speeder that you could buy it for like $45 on his
Oh,
table.
wow.
Yeah. So
Con prices. Yeah.
yeah, it was one of the few things I didn't actually bring because I had him sign everything under the
Yeah,
sun that
yeah.
time. But it was one of the few things I didn't bring. But yeah, it shows you the difference.
Yeah, big time. Nice. All right, so let's get into 2023. In loose release order, we'll start going down the list. So the first thing that was released was Bad Batch Season 2. And that was released right at the beginning of January last year. So thoughts on Bad Batch Season 2? What do we remember about that? Did we come away with a good feeling on that one?
Yeah, but I don't remember. I
That's the
remember
problem with
I
stuff that was a year ago. It's hard to remember what all
Yeah,
happened,
yeah,
but
I remember I enjoyed it, but
I
I
remember
don't
the
remember.
lame planet they went to that had the tsunami.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
I remember a filler episode where they were finding crystals in the cave.
You remember
Um,
a filler episode? Okay.
yeah,
That
a
was
filler
the one
episode.
thing.
You
Yeah, there
mean
were a lot of
tons of
filler
filler
episodes.
There
episodes?
was there was one where they were in mining carts with the spiders chasing them through the caves too. Also, that was another filler. And but the ones that stick out to me were the what's his name, Deadeye or Sniper Boy, Super Fusion Sniper guy.
Well, I
Uh,
had it until you said that.
Yeah.
Crosshair.
Crosshair. Yeah.
Crosshair.
The Crosshair episodes were by far the best to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, those
Yeah.
were
And
phenomenal.
yeah, and they pushed the boundary into that back into that Clone Wars section, late Clone Wars, when they started taking the gloves off a little bit and showing you, yeah, the not everybody had a happy galaxy even before the Empire, or with the Empire, or after the Empire.
Sure.
So that I think this season was worth it for those episodes alone. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm don't care all that much about the story going forward. I'll watch it and hope that there's some brilliant episodes that catch me again. But I was kind of felt that way about the second one too. Like I was like, this isn't um, I wasn't the biggest fan of it to begin with, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And the animation is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to see the Star Wars animation tradition continuing. So with something good and not,
Right.
for little kids.
Sure. I was very disappointed in season 2. It really was a contrast in really solid episodes and really, really bad ones, just real filler
Mm-hmm.
episodes. The worst for me being the tech episode where he was on a pod race.
The
I mean,
pod race. Yeah.
I just, even as that was happening, I'm just literally shaking my head going, why am I watching this? Why is this being made? It had made no sense. Had nothing, almost nothing to do with the story. It was just terrible.
To
And
be
now
fair, there's a disconnect between us and a lot of what I read on the internet.
I
A
know,
lot of
and I
people, that
remember us
was their
talking about that
favorite
back then.
episode for some reason. They loved seeing Tech doing a fish out of water kind of thing and
And
finding some
Tech
other
is my
thing to do.
favorite character on that show, so it disconnected with me for
Not
sure.
anymore.
There's a, yeah, exactly, not anymore.
We now have a character called Stone Age, the one that comes after Tech falls down an abyss in your society.
Stone Dark Age.
I'll send a pigeon. Yeah. Smoke signal. The new stoned all the time. And
Yeah, my feelings, I guess, at this point are about the same as they were originally for Bad Batch season 2. Just overly disappointed, overall disappointed. Some really outstanding episodes, but way too much filler. I thought it was definitely a step down from season 1, in my opinion. I am looking forward to season 3, though, being the final season. I just hope they are able to wrap things up in a good, positive way.
Gundark, if you have something else to say, I just want to say this while I was thinking of it. Bad Batch to me suffers from being the same story that we're seeing in everything else.
Mm-hmm.
The child, the magical child.
Yeah.
Not only that,
same formula.
There's a magical child who changes the lives of some mercenary types who know only one thing, and they come together. A group comes together, and then there's a bigger story about what they want to use this. The bad forces want to use this magical child for, and it's essentially the same story. It's like, how many different ways are they going to create Snoke? Is it the people in the secret base from Bad Batch? Is it the people in the secret base from Mandalorian? Is it the people from the other secret base on Mandalorian? Is it, you know what I mean? It's like we're going round and round, it seems like, poking at the same ideas over and over again. And so what's the difference between Grogu and little orphan Angus and whoever else? Oh yeah, Omegar. What's the difference really between these characters? I mean, and so
it's a formula.
Yeah, it's a weird formula. I just didn't expect that until I started seeing it happening, and I was like, because I didn't expect it the first time. I didn't expect it in Mandalorian. None of us did.
Right? No, none of us.
And now it seems like this is they're trying to replicate it. And meanwhile, I don't care what you do, Bad Batch cartoon is not going to be a success on the level of Mandalorian with the general public. It's
just anything animated is never going to live up to that. Yeah.
No, it has its fan base there. And I don't know how you can hope to break out of that by adding a formula that worked for the Mandalorian. So anyway, all this may make sense at some point, but but that's what bothers me about it. And also how they tend to make the universe smaller and smaller with each of these series. Like Omega is technically Boba Fett's sister, you
Yeah,
know.
everybody's related to
Yeah.
And
everybody.
now,
Yeah.
now we're just waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, when is he gonna figure this out? You know,
Mhm.
when are they gonna figure it out? Are we gonna see her in the future? You know, in live action animation. It's like, um, there's a lot to balls to keep in the air,
Yeah.
when you're juggling this much stuff, trying to create a consistent universe.
Yeah.
I wish them luck. I hope it works out.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Any more final thoughts on Bad Batch before we move on?
Just basically what you guys said. I think I forgot so much of it because it was so much filler. I remember we were objecting to that when we
Mhm.
were watching it. It seemed like
Um,
one filler episode after another, and
Yeah.
Kudos
only
to
a
the music. Kudos to
yeah,
the
yeah,
Yeah, the
music,
music's always
and the
outstanding on
animation.
there.
The
Mhm.
music
yeah.
and the animation were fantastic, I thought.
Standouts for sure.
And
Yeah.
of course the voice actors, and the voice actor doing the clones. Um,
Mhm. D. Bradley Baker.
yeah,
Yep. Mhm.
he's always so
Incredibly
wonderful.
talented.
So
Yep.
yeah. And I think maybe now that I'm thinking about it, I went back and rewatched Rebels around the time that I was watching that, and I could really see a difference. You know, the Rebels seem to have less of the filler aspect and more
Mhm.
of a coherent story arc than this. So maybe it's kind of a bias of circumstances, but still, I feel like second season of Bad Batch just didn't have as much substance as first season. And maybe they need to do a shorter season, fewer episodes, and episodes that have more
Rebels episodes were
consequence.
generally shorter too, I think. Weren't they?
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah,
25 minutes or something, or 22 minutes
Well,
without
they
any
were designed
commercials.
for commercial television.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
before streaming
And
started.
so you have to be a little tighter, tell shorter arcs. The stakes in Rebels didn't start off high at all. I felt like, and took a long time to get to where you felt like there could be stakes in it. But Bad Batch has tried to show us that there are some stakes, you know, and that you can't trust everybody. It isn't just turning into just a super nice story because Omega wants it to be that way. So there's
Right.
things there I appreciate about it. And Star Wars always, it seems like everyone involved in Star Wars is brilliant. I mean, who can you pick to criticize really individually? You know, like the voice actors, the effects, the animators, the musicians, the music composers,
Mhm.
the set decorators, the costume designers. Without fail, they're all awesome,
Sure.
and the actors they cast and everything. So when you criticize the shows, it isn't the individual people that we're criticizing. It is somehow the overall product that you get with the effect of the product that you get, and a lot of it probably just comes back to our expectations, and then are the stories they're telling really worth telling and worth putting all this effort into and worth tuning in to see. Do we want to see what happens next? Is it important, to the Star Wars galaxy?
Mhm.
And that's where I get confused sometimes. I'm just not sure. And I'm not sure if I want to see a smaller show that's just about a bounty hunter, collecting a bounty, and it doesn't have any effect on any big picture, or if I want to get really excited about the big picture again, and I think to get the big picture going, you've got to have that villain in place. You've got to have the antagonist there that is pushing that part of the story. So anyway, so yeah, there's great things about it, but
Yeah.
we'd be crushed if it didn't come back? I don't think so.
Mhm.
I want to see how it ends, but
I want to see how it ends. Yeah, but it was like I said, just kind of a letdown after what I really enjoyed about season one. So, all right, let's move on to the Mandalorian season three. And I guess I'll start.
I thought Gundark might start this one.
I just figured that speaking of disappointing, uh, we'll go right into Mandalorian season three. It was definitely again a drop off from seasons one and two, especially season two. Um, just I don't know, a lot of filler, a lot of pacing issues in that season. I felt doing certain things over and over and over again for no reason other than what apparently seemed to be padding out the runtime. If you're going to have a show that runs 8 episodes but only have 3 episodes worth of content, that's not good. That's a recipe for disaster. So, I just wish they would fix the pacing issues. Also, we really suffered from the whole Pedro Pascal fiasco with whoever at Lucasfilm didn't bother to lock him into a regular contract and just said, "Yeah, you
Right.
can go do whatever you want,"
Fiasco is a good choice of words too. It
Yeah, it
really,
really
I
was.
think it's applicable at this point.
Yeah, because I think that really genuinely changed the entire complexion of the Mandalorian. The fact that he is not there. Why did we build up to him taking the helmet off if we're just going, oh, we're just going to put it all back on and go back to the Creed and just undo everything we worked towards doing for 2 seasons, and here we
That
are.
and
And
that's
and we
it.
need a new main character, so let's just have Bo-Katan, who is amazing. Katie Sackhoff is incredible, but to me, it's a misdirect.
Yeah.
Again, this is not at all saying anything about her or her character. And she's amazing, and I love watching it. I just wish it was the Bo-Katan show, and it's kind of becoming that. But unfortunately, it's the Mandalorian, and now suddenly
Well,
we have a different Mandalorian, as the star. So
the Mandalorian, they said, well, we never said which Mandalorian. It's in the
right, I
title,
mean,
So but
yeah,
let's
they
face
they could
it.
they could try and pull off that BS, sure.
Yeah, they did. They said that. They said that in interviews and stuff.
Oh, I'm
And
sure they did.
they said, I hope you guys go along with this journey. But the thing is, they aren't the same characters. They just
No,
aren't.
not at
And
all.
they have totally different goals and stories. And they had the armor kind of give Din Djarin a mission that would go along with her, with Bo-Katan. They had to shoehorn it in though, where suddenly he had to go to Mandalore. He wasn't one of these active zealots, it seemed like, about trying to reclaim the planet, although he was part of that group. But he had his own stuff going on that didn't, those stories didn't really intertwine ever through the first
Yeah,
2 seasons. And then that became the mission of season 3, and it wasn't clear at all. And all the rules they set up for themselves, they contradicted. And like you said, I think you nailed it. It was like a reverse. We just throw everything in reverse and reset after the end of season 2. And the end of season 2 was epic. We felt like we were moving forward. They made the decision to make it a bigger story.
hmm
They could have kept it a smaller story. They made the decision to make it a bigger story and connect it to the galaxy we know and the heroes we know and the big story that we know. And then they just kind of whiffed on that. They said, nah, not really,
hmm
and pulled back. And the most egregious thing to me was the character development of the Mandalorian, and seeing how it was undeniable at the end of season 2 that he had changed. It's just
exactly.
undeniable. He
hmm
he, he had an arc, and he changed because of the emotional effect of being responsible for a child. And you can't just erase that and
No.
go back to his comfort zone. I just don't see that. And there was no consequences for anything. And yeah, but we still rated season 3 individually fairly highly. I think
Yeah.
you and I, Corellian, probably had the lower ratings.
hmm
Gundark was much more forgiving, except for maybe on a couple. But we still dip down around the 5.5, 6 mark sometimes out of 10 on some of the episodes. But overall, I'm still on board with the Mandalorian, and I want to see what happens next. But it's depressing. It's depressing knowing that they've set up a formula back to where they started, and we may never see Pedro Pascal in the role,
Right. Yeah,
again.
very disappointing.
Yeah, it's
See,
weird.
I enjoyed the season a lot more, I think, than you guys did in retrospect. It still sits pretty well with me, but it's largely because of I feel like they did the best they could with a difficult situation, not having
Yeah.
Pedro
Yeah,
Pascal, because I agree with you totally, Greedo, that the end of season 2 set up something totally new moving forward with the evolution of that character. And it felt like when he put back on the mask, and we never got to see Pedro Pascal again in the face, in the
Nope.
flesh, throughout that whole season. It felt like it was a real loss of everything that had been achieved by the end of the second season. But still, I really enjoyed all the episodes on Mandalore. I enjoyed Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan. I loved the armor and the way that character developed. The fight sequences and everything were fun. It was fun to see Moff get in at the end as the big baddie returning. So all of that was entertaining to me, but still it was like they were trying to cover for what they couldn't achieve because they had basically
Mhm.
lost Pedro
Exactly what
Pascal.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And
I
I
feel
don't mind them, like I don't mind them evolving. You guys had an interesting comment about this in your episode where you talked about Dave Filoni taking over as creative head at Lucasfilm.
hmm
You mentioned that you might have felt better about this season if we'd been warned that we were pivoting
Yeah.
from Mando to other Mandalorians as the central figures, but we had no warning, so it was kind of like a bait and switch. We thought we were going to see more about the Mando that we know, and
Yeah.
instead we get more and more stuff focused on these other Mandalorians. We're like, okay, when are we going to find out more about the Mando that we know and love?
Right.
So maybe if we had been forewarned better, and especially getting the last episode and we know Pedro Pascal. We know helmet taking off. You're like, I'm not even going to see him once in this entire season.
no,
So yeah,
that's such a crime that we have Giancarlo and Pedro together finally
yes,
in the
yeah,
final episode, and he's captured. And once again, they just undo the stakes.
Yep.
yeah,
These series have a serious issue with, like you said, timing, pacing, and stakes. Well, to get us to tune in, you have to have stakes. I mean, in season 2, they had Din Djarin delivering the message and turning the tables on Moff Gideon and saying, "You have something I want. I'm coming for you." I mean, that was stakes. You know what I mean? That made you want to tune in. It's like he's taking the power. I don't know why he did that because it tipped his hand, but it was cool. It was like saying, "You've underestimated me and you pissed me off, and now we're gonna throw down." And it's like, hell yeah, let's throw down. I want to see what happens next. These are two great opponents that are going to go at each other, and they did, and it delivered. Season 3 was kind of bait and switch the whole way, and like the best moment was his Pez dispenser Vosla or whatever his name was. his,
yeah.
Paz
his
Vizsla.
Pez Vizsla.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Pez
yeah.
Vizsla.
Paz.
Oh,
P-A-Z.
Pez
Not
dispenser.
Pez.
Pez
Vizla.
dispenser Vizsla. The side characters kind of were more interesting than the main ones in a lot of ways when they all had to work together and they had some conflict and stuff like that. And then his final scene and stuff was just like almost like the highlight of the show. And I don't know what they need to learn about pacing and where to end these episodes, but they
Yeah.
choose over and over again to shoot themselves in the foot by showing us too much or too little or whatever at vital moments when we should be clinging to life, getting to that next Wednesday at midnight or whatever, staying up
Yeah.
late to see what happened before somebody spoils it. So I don't know. You don't have to have that the whole season, but certainly, I don't know. And I feel bad for Katie Sackhoff because she has tried her best to put a big smile on the situation and win people over and say, "Hey, give it a chance," and she's ecstatic. I mean, what a great career opportunity for
Sure.
her. She should be ecstatic. And frankly, there's Pedro Pascal ecstatic. I don't know why he isn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I feel bad for her that she's kind of people target her in a way.
Caught in a tough place. Yeah, she's in a tough
caught in a
position.
tough place where she was
Yeah.
just cast and they couldn't tell her anything. She didn't really know anything.
They didn't
and
know this was going to
no,
happen because of
and
Pedro's situation.
she's a phenomenal ambassador for Star Wars. Let's get over this whole thing. If you want to criticize them because she's female, because of whatever, all that's nonsense. Look at her work. Look at her as
Absolutely.
an actor, and she's perfect for the role. And she
She's
is the role.
phenomenal.
She is the character. From
Yeah, I
the
mean, she already
animation on.
voiced it in Clone Wars and
Yeah.
Rebels.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so she's more to me than proven herself. Gundark, did you have anything else you want to say about Mandalorian?
No, not really. I am. Well, though. No, I do have something more. Do we even know there's going to be a season 4? That's the big issue now.
Unconfirmed. Yeah, that's the
I keep hearing it's
speculation
gonna
now
be
is
a
that it's going to
movie.
be a movie. It's gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Especially because they put a bow on the end of season 3.
Yeah.
They made it up to where it's like, hey, we don't ever have to make another episode if we don't want to, and we've got to, there's no cliffhanger. It's just they're sitting at home with their feet up.
Yeah, kind of
So
felt like a series finale right there at the
mhm.
Yeah.
end. So
Yeah, it did.
we'll see. But we also have news, don't we, that Pedro Pascal is signed with another television show or something, which would likely make it impossible for him to return
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
flesh
I don't
for
think we'll
to
ever see
play.
him again unless they do a major motion picture and he may do a couple of cameos or something, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
So
know what show he signed with?
I heard and I don't remember now.
I think I
Yeah.
remember hearing about that too. And he's got season 2 of The Last of Us to do too.
Yeah, he's got the Last of Us. So, yeah.
Although if you know anything about the story, he shouldn't be in there that long. But he
Spoiler.
right off the bat, so to speak. Join the club, Pedro. You know.
Oh,
Um,
Gladiator 2.
oh, Gladiator 2,
Gladiator
right?
2 is what he
He's gonna
signed
play
on
the
for.
bad guy or the good guy or the bad
I
guy or
have
something.
no
I can't
idea.
remember.
No idea. So, all right.
Another sequel to a movie where everyone died.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire fell pretty much at the end, but we're gonna do a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's move on to Star Wars Visions Season 2. That was really interesting. I enjoyed it very much.
Me too. Yeah.
Me too. I think I
Yeah.
liked it even better than the first season.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say something weird too. I think out of all these shows so far, that might be the one I'd be most likely to watch again.
Hmm.
Just out of the blue, just on a like having some time at home. It's like I'm gonna pick one of these to watch again. Because they're short, they're visually
Mhm.
entertaining. If I'm gonna watch Mandalorian, I feel like I'm gonna start over and watch the whole season.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not sure I have time for that.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
they're not bogged down by having to, they're not canon, so they're not
Fit
having
into
no.
it,
they
yeah.
don't have to worry
Mm,
about any of that stuff. They don't have to worry about big picture, small picture, whatever. They're just these little episodic vignettes and they're great. I
And
love them.
what I loved about it is it felt different from season one. Season one was what, anime? Was it mostly Japanese
Hmm.
animators?
yeah.
And then season two went global, where you had
Yes.
different animation houses from around the world. And a lot
Yeah.
of them were tapping into their own cultures, and applying them to the Star Wars universe. And so you never quite knew what you were going to see next. And that was very interesting and
Really well
entertaining.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was excellent. I really enjoyed that.
What's cool about it is it felt like they were emphasizing more giving people opportunities than they were commercial success,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it's a niche idea anyway. I mean, it's a good idea. Anime is popular all over the world, but then when you actually branch out beyond the Japanese studios and do the others, it's like they were looking around saying, hey, we're going to give you the opportunity to showcase your Star Wars ideas, that you're passionate about, because there's fans all over the world. And this is a case where diversity and inclusion and all that is a great idea. I feel
Mhm.
like it's like there's just so much talent out there, um, and seeing people's different interpretations and ideas and how they, develop stories and characters within the Star Wars universe, but influenced by whatever ideas they wanted to bring in, was really cool. And the different
Yeah.
styles of animation, a lot of talent there.
Oh, absolutely. And and some of these stories are good enough or interesting enough to me that when I see them, I'm like, wow, I'd like to see more of that. I'd
Absolutely,
like to see a
yeah.
series of this
Hmm.
style of animation, this type of storytelling. Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, totally. Like you said, it gives you a safe place to take bigger swings and
Yeah,
swing out, color outside the numbers. I
right.
mean, pun intended, I guess.
Hmm.
And test things that may or may not fit to your feeling of what Star Wars is. And
Yeah.
when they hit that sweet spot where it's familiar but different and intriguing, then you want to see more. And it starts to fit right into your idea of Star Wars. That's how we sort of, I think, morph the idea of what the Star Wars universe is by just finding things that are really good and intriguing, to expand this galaxy, not necessarily, tell the backstory of the hammerhead guy in the cantina every time.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
very good. Yeah,
yeah,
overall, I thought I think
I hope they do the season 3. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
I do too. Yeah, I hope they continue making these because, like I said, I haven't seen. I mean, obviously, I like some episodes better than others, but they've all been really good. I don't think I've been failed to entertain me on any of them. They're all have something cool to look at. So, all right. Well, that was Star Wars Vision season 2, and then the other, basically to wrap up 2023, is Ahsoka, the other live action show that came out. So now that we've had 4 or 5 months to digest Ahsoka,
Can I ask a
um,
question?
of course,
What about Tales of the Jedi?
that was 2022.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. Cool.
Yeah. That was like late fall of 2022.
All
So
right.
that's why I didn't include it here. But anyway, so how are we feeling now about Ahsoka after we've had 4 or 5 months to let it settle?
I'm kind of feeling like it wasn't it was a disappointment to me in that it wasn't the big hit that I thought it would be to
Hmm.
kind of bring together these storylines that seem like they're going to lead into a movie or something as they're reporting. It had too many filler episodes. It might have done better if they had cut, make it a little shorter. There were those some absolutely spectacular episodes. What was it, 4 and 5? Were those the ones that the one episode number 4 that focused on the villains, and then the episode that brought Anakin Skywalker went to the world between
Yeah, that
worlds.
was
Those were
really
just some
good.
of the top notch Star Wars live action
Yeah.
TV
It might have been
stuff.
3 and 4.
Three and
Yeah.
four, okay.
I think
Might
it
have
was three
been.
and four. Yeah.
Three
Yeah.
and four,
Because it kind of
yeah,
peaked. It peaked. That's my impression of it, is it peaked early. It started
Hmm.
off on the
yeah.
wrong, just wrong footed for me, and then suddenly hit its stride and peaked, and it was almost like it was just a movie. And I'm still not sure how I feel about the Thrawn stuff, because I just don't feel like they did. Again, it's not criticizing the actor who did Thrawn or anything. He's perfect, perfect choice. It's something in the overall effect of the writing and how it ends up coming out delivered to you. He did not seem like the effective commander that I was hoping he would be. Um, and that was the main thing that was a big disappointment for me. Was I think I said on our channel many times, Thrawn is super important. I mean, just super important for the future of Star Wars. I don't know who else they've got up at bat, to take over the main villain role. And it's just one season, and it was only like 6 episodes or something, so it can be fixed. But they gave him a lot of screen time and did not enforce the image that I was hoping to see, and the feeling and the everything that I was hoping to see for him. It's a lot of good is there. Like I said, you could repair it, but they did a better job with the Fallen Jedi character than they did. But again, even that, all those storylines seemed to peak early, and
Yeah.
then once you got to the major conflict resolution at the end, no stakes. It all felt like a foregone conclusion, and I just found the episode where that culminated at the stone circle, and then the world between worlds and all that stuff was a lot more interesting than everything else that went on
Mhm.
around it.
Afterwards. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I agree. I was very let down. I don't know. I just feel like it's almost like they're holding back the people, the producers, the filmmakers, however you want to refer to them, are holding back, and then we never get a payoff at the end. And I feel like, I don't know if it's a pacing issue or if it's just a planning issue, kind of like what Greedo was alluding to earlier. They need to figure out how to end these episodes, because I don't feel like they're ending them on cliffhangers. They're almost ending them on, oh, we got to feel good at the end, of every episode. Don't give them a reason to tune in next week. I mean, that's kind of the point, isn't it? I feel like, so many of the episodes, I think I made the joke back when we did the episodic reviews about, oh, well, this is another episode that ended in a high five. It's like, yay,
Mm-hmm.
us, it's like, and that's it for this week's episode. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I don't know. I felt like they just didn't really take any very many chances with this. They
No,
they they
yeah.
they peaked with episode 4 or whatever it was with the Anakin World Between Worlds episode, and then it
Yeah.
was just kind of sort of after that. And they left it in a, to me, very unfulfilling way where they just sort of swapped two characters for two characters in the galaxies, and then where are we? Where did we go from
Yeah.
there? And then they stick, and I love seeing 3PO. It was great, but they just sort of throw 3PO in an episode. Oh, let's just stick him in there. This will distract them, on the fact that the story's not going anywhere.
Right.
We'll stick 3PO in there.
Yeah, fan service there at
Yeah,
the end.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
overall, yeah, I probably am a lot less happy with the episodes now looking back than I was at the time, because I know I rated a few of the episodes probably more highly than I would now if we went back and re-rated things, for sure.
I ended up liking a lot of the characters more than I thought I would in live action.
Hmm.
Especially Hera, I thought was
Yeah,
Mhm.
Hera
was
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 really
was
good.
likable.
Hera
Well,
and
And
I wanted to see
Jason.
more of Hera. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the rebels who are actually rebels and to have a
Hmm.
purpose and not these idiots who are in the Senate or whatever. Those
Yeah.
characters were, I wanted to see them get together and start figuring stuff out and become a force that can oppose, the Empire again, or Thrawn, or whoever's left to fight. The Night Sisters were cool.
Mhm.
Allying them with Thrawn. I just felt like Thrawn was equal parts let down and interesting, and Ezra was completely pointless to me. Like,
Yeah,
um, I love the actor
the
again.
acting was
The
great.
actor had
Yeah.
Yeah.
charisma. He's got positivity. I desperately want to see a likable hero in Star Wars again that isn't just stoic,
Yeah.
and that isn't a faceless mask.
But they
And
didn't give him anything to do. He had been there
no,
just twiddling his thumbs, it looked like, for
and
like
you
Yeah.
10
felt like, yeah,
years.
and you felt like he had no challenges whatsoever. Like,
Yeah.
No.
really, it was
Yeah.
just a breeze for him to do this time. Like, um, he really should have suffered major consequences for his decision, to sacrifice. When you sacrifice, it should be a sacrifice. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and these things are easy to me. It's easy, dramatic, melodramatic, whatever you want to call it, storytelling that they just passed on over and over again. And I'll never understand the Sabine character, how they started her like a surly teenager when she's 30 something years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That
weird.
Right. They were
story, that
playing the
story
character like
is
she was
over.
15 years before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, she should have been, if she was going to be, she should have had a family or something. They
Hmm.
should have introduced a real conflict. Like, are you going to go get Ezra and abandon the people you've built a family with over the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Move her forward. Don't just make it's like these characters were just stuck in carbonite,
Right. And like nothing's
Yeah.
changed at all in
Yeah.
15
and
years. Yeah.
unfortunately, Ahsoka is the only one that's changed. And I understand what they're doing. She has to mature because we've only ever seen her most of the time in depth when she's younger. And you
Hmm.
cannot have the young girl energy her whole life. It's just wouldn't work. And I think they're doing the right thing, but she's just not as likable,
Yeah.
and that character hung its hat on everyone hated her. And she was so likable that they turned it around over time. Her
Hmm.
likability just won people over who
Yeah.
were determined to hate her. And there's a lesson there. I mean, there's a big lesson there. You can't skip that. It takes work and
Hmm.
dedication to make a character likable. You have to have a characterization that is consistent, that speaks to people, and that people want to see what they get invested in this character and want to see what happens next. Males, females, everybody, grew to like Ahsoka pretty much. You can generalize that. I'm sure there's people who didn't, but it was a successful character, and that's why she got her own series. What's disappointing to me is I heard just this week that somebody spoke to Rosario Dawson, and she said there's been no talk of a season 2.
Hmm.
Um,
But is
so
that
that's
because of
disappointing
this
to me.
so-called movie coming up? This thing that the idea of the
They'll say
movie?
it's on purpose. They'll say it's on purpose, because
Yeah.
they never said Ahsoka season 1, or
They just said
Ahsoka, the
Ahsoka. Yeah.
legend of the,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But let's face it, it ended every single thing unresolved.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
so we know, and they put Dave Filoni as creative director, and then and they suddenly don't want to renew his major idea that he was in charge of.
Yeah.
It makes me think that some of the rumors and stuff were true, and that it just didn't go over well numbers wise.
Hmm.
Because I don't care if it's Ewoks starting a fire for 35 minutes. If millions of people watch it,
They're gonna
Yeah.
you're
keep
gonna have a
making
They're
them.
season
gonna
2.
keep
Yeah.
building
Right,
fires.
Yeah.
right, exactly. So, or they'll build a shack next or whatever, a treehouse. Uh, but so yeah, it makes me wonder. The whole thing. There's a lot of lack of transparency on things, and we'll never know. I mean, just look at all the turmoil that's happened at Lucasfilm that most studios you would say that's just messed up, but they keep cranking out the product or they cancel it. But like Rogue One, from then on, major changes on every project, just about, except for the one they should have changed. and most studios would be like, this is a disaster. But Star Wars, they kept coming out with consistently good enough stuff to where it's like, okay, I guess. But it's weird. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
You promote a guy to creative director, whatever that means. It may end up meaning nothing. It's maybe your job is moving this thing across the desk to this side one day and the other side of the desk the other day. A title doesn't mean anything. But to promote him and then not even green light a season 2, they're going to say it's on purpose, and they'll continue the story in something else. They can't just leave it like that.
No, I'm sure they'll figure it out.
But we all know, when you're talking about 6 episodes, how hard is it to greenlight 6 episodes of
it's 8 episodes. It was 8 episodes.
Okay, 8 to 10, whatever. That's kind of the normal streaming thing now.
Yeah.
How hard is it? And a lot of them are 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
How hard is it?
Yeah, the runtime wasn't really very long. That was also disappointing to me. But
and the last thing I'll touch on Ahsoka, music I thought was phenomenal.
Oh, music was incredible.
Yeah, it was really.
I haven't bought the soundtrack yet, but I'm going to.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been listening to the soundtrack too. It's really
soundtrack was, to me, the best thing about it. A lot of the artistic settings that they gave us, the long shots, the things were brilliant. I felt like, and reminded me of why I love Star Wars and the art in Star Wars, and why we used to buy the books, the art of this movie, the art of that movie, because brilliant artists work on this stuff. I loved the wolf dog thing.
Yeah.
I just loved that. That's one of my favorite aliens they've come up with.
That was really good. Yeah,
I just loved that. I loved everything they did with that, and it made Sabine likable for me. Is pairing her with the Howler made her likable, and but anyway, there was great things about it, and I overall thought it was worth telling and enjoyable. The pacing killed it. The lack of resolution and the lack of a strong villain killed it. And they also hung their hat going forward on a story that is a 3 or 4 episode arc out of Clone Wars that certain people loved and certain people hated. And I don't understand why you would revisit that story right now. And I know they're going into another galaxy, but the father, the son, and the daughter stuff, I don't know where you would go with that in a series.
How do you explain it well enough for people who aren't in on the mythos?
But maybe they have a different idea. Like Rey's character was supposed to find, not Rey Skywalker, but was supposed to find something left by these characters. Like not them. Like we're not going to see them again, but we're going to see some kind of legacy or some kind of thing that makes him the next big bad or something. Then maybe it'd make more sense to me. I just don't want to see another exploration of those characters. They don't fit in the overall day-to-day picture of Star Wars. They're mythological and metaphysical, and so anyway, they'd have to really sell me on that. A lot of people kind of got excited about it, seeing the statues at the end and stuff. For me, it was more like, oh gosh, we're going back there. Doesn't Anakin have something to say about this? I mean, he's sitting there watching. They'll think maybe this is some kind of plan to bring him back. Also, they could do that with those mystical powers of the father and the son and the daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
The daughter, and they're linking, I guess, the daughter sacrificed herself for Ahsoka in that. But see, all the main characters forgot that whole thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was like a Star Trek episode where you go to a planet and they erase your mind.
And then they
erase your mind.
Yeah. So, but I can see why there's links there. I just hope they don't fully go back into like, here's a guy that looks like Zeus, glowing, and I just will laugh at that. I just don't see that in Star Wars. But I know it was George Lucas' idea. Don't get mad at me. I know it was George Lucas. I know.
But again, that in a lot of ways, though, that goes back to stuff that we talk about all the time, stuff that works in animation that doesn't work in live action.
Yeah, it'd be hard to make it work. It'd be real hard.
It'd be hard to make that work. And just like a prime example is Ahsoka, and I don't want to open the can of worms again, but we've talked about it, the whole fighting on the outside of the ship scene. That's something that they pulled off a couple of times in Clone Wars, and it was really, really cool. It just fell flat in live action.
Because it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
A cartoon. I mean, I'm sorry. animation and things that are, you just have a different scale of forgiveness
Mhm.
for things. Like if you go, that was really dumb. Oh well, move on to the next,
Yeah,
episode.
whatever.
No
Yeah.
big deal, really.
It's cartoon.
But then when you see it in live action and you're like, why don't they just shoot the ship? Why are they
Right,
shooting
yeah.
at the only thing that can deflect their blasts? The lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's you just lose respect for the bad guys. More so than gain respect for the hero.
Mhm.
And it just, you got to think of these things. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So Obi-Wan was in 2022. All these
Yep.
other things.
Yeah.
Well, everything else was
Yeah.
20. We just discussed all the content released in 2023. So that's basically 2023. We're going to do another episode coming up shortly with forecasting 2024 and what's coming up. But thanks for watching the recap, and we look forward to seeing you on the forecast. See you next time.
All know round here, Solo always does shots first. Singing Yup No, raise your glass and sing Yup No. Sing it with me, Yup No. At the Cantina Club.
Hello there. This is General Grievous, and you are watching the Cantina Club.